Hi, my name is Jada Shapiro, and I'm the founder of Birthday Presents and Boober. We have our funny breastfeeding puppet here today, and I don't know how many of you have a stuffed boob at home, but you know, this is this is a big part of my life, stuffed breasts. So I'm just going to slip my hand in here because we sometimes use this. I'll show lots of different ways to help people understand how to latch. But one of the biggest mistakes that people make when latching is they put the baby's lips right on the nipple, and they sort of expect that to just create the right latch. But we really have a lot of pain if the baby is directly latched onto the nipple. So we do not call it nipple feeding, right? We call it breastfeeding, because what we really want in an ideal latch is we have a baby's wide open mouth and we have them coming on from below, and then we have this deep open jaw, and you can see the lip is like way below. I mean, the lower lip of your baby should be landing, several centimeters below the nipple. And so that's surprising to people. And so what we always try to teach them prenatally is that couple tips that can help. Thinking about nose to nipple. That's one way you could think about it. If the nose, and of course this breastfeeding puppet doesn't have a nose, but I'm putting my nail in there. If we place nose to nipple, the mouth is going to look too low, but that's really what we want. We want to lead with the chin, and we want to think about chin mushed in. If that chin is mushed into the breast, then what happens is the baby will tip its head back and open its mouth super wide. Now when you see that super wide, that's your cue. Bring the baby in quickly to the boob. Now one of the mistakes we often see, and if I show you down here, is that we'll see the baby, they mush the chin in, baby opens mouth wide, and then they try to stuff their boob in there. We see a lot of stuff a breast in the mouth. And when you do that, it's not as ideal. Often the baby closes their mouth very quickly, and in that quick, rapid mouth closure, that's when they go chomp. And the pain of breastfeeding comes when the baby is actually compressing the nipple. We do not want that nipple compressed in their mouth. Believe it or not, if you take your tongue and you roll it back into the back of your mouth, there's this thing called the soft palate. It arches, right? So the nipple is actually going into negative space, which you could sort of see. Another way I can show this, sort of, is we could take this as the baby's mouth. This here is the nipple. So if the chin comes in, baby opens wide. When it goes up and around and latches on, that nipple here is actually not getting smushed or smashed. If the baby goes open and close, it lands and smashes the nipple. And that nipple smashing is what causes incredible pain. Nobody can deal with their nipple being smushed and smashed every hour to an hour and a half. How many times a day? 12 to 15 times a day, right? The first 3 days of breastfeeding, we are breastfeeding anywhere from 8 to 15 times a day. So it should be painless and comfortable. And if you're having a lot of pain while breastfeeding, that is your number one sign that you need help right now. A little bit of pain in the first moments, and that kind of dissipates and you can tolerate it. Okay, let's check in. Maybe it's okay. The baby's mouth is going to grow a little bit if it's just that first minute. But if you are holding back tears, you are rocking and doing your breathing techniques you learned in childbirth class, something is not right. People always ask, I would say one of the top questions people ask is, what is the best nipple cream that I should use to protect my nipples while breastfeeding? And I'm like, protect your nipples from what, right? Well, they say, I've heard everybody gets cracked, bleeding nipples. And I say, cracked, bleeding nipples are a sign that breastfeeding's not going correctly. You actually want to adjust that latch. As soon as you adjust and fix the latch, the nipple's not going to get smushed and smashed, and it's not going to be cracked and bleeding anymore. And so the nipple creams can be soothing, they can be helpful, but they're not going to fix the latch. And the fundamental problem right then, why you're having cracked and bleeding nipples, is because your latch is not correct. So let's fix that latch, and not only do you have less pain, you're also going to make more milk and feed more efficiently. Your nursing sessions will decrease in time, because before you may have been breastfeeding for a really long time, trying to get enough milk to that baby. And so people who find that they're just breastfeeding all the time and with pain, when we get a lactation consultant to them, if you hire a lactation consultant, it will shift potentially what's going on. Sometimes there's a problem with the tongue, right? The baby, normally in an ideal latch, what we want to see here when the mouth is wide open is that the tongue actually extends down over the lower lip not as cute on me as your little baby. But if the tongue stays back in the mouth, that's something called tongue tie. And it could mean, it doesn't mean it's going to be a problem for you. But if the latch looks amazing from the outside and you think you're doing everything right, but you're still having tremendous amount of pain, then you want to be seen by a lactation specialist who can potentially refer you to an ENT or a dentist or somebody who specializes, a pediatric dentist, ENT. There's different people who specialize in what they call tongue tie revision, if that's a problem. It's not a problem for everybody. Some babies with tongue tie can feed just fine, but that can be one of the issues. Some of the things people always ask about, like I said, they ask, so when I have the pain, I'm like, hang on a second, why are we assuming that you're going to have pain? A lot of people do have pain with breastfeeding, but generally pain is a sign that some support could really make a huge difference for opening that baby's mouth wider. That's why one of the most common issues is just, you know, when I go to visit somebody and I see the baby latched on like this, what you can see, and I don't know if you can see this here, is that the baby's mouth is at a 90-degree angle. 90 degrees is generally going to hurt somebody. What we really want to see is a 140-degree angle or more. Please don't go get your protractor. That is not the thing we need to do. But you really want to, it looks almost like, it's like babies have flip-top, you know, jaws almost. They just really can open very wide. And that 90-degree angle is almost always going to cause pain. And so when I come over and help, or when a lactation expert comes to help, one of the things that we're going to recommend that you do almost all the time is just lower the baby. And by lower the baby, I mean move the baby a little bit away from the nipple when you're starting. And if we can lower that baby and start over, and we can really push the chin into the boob, I can take a well-placed thumb and I can actually press down, and it makes my nipple pop up. So I can show you actually on this boob or this breast, if I press the thumb down, the nipple pops up. I actually want to keep the nipple out of reach of my baby. I don't want to just do easy access here. So I want to mush the chin in. I want to have nose across from the nipple. I want to take my thumb, press that nipple up so that it's directed away from the baby. I'm waiting for the wide open mouth. I'm teasing the baby here, waiting for the wide open mouth. As soon as I see it, I bring that baby in. And that makes a huge difference. And that means the baby's gonna be chock full of boob. Is it chock full of boob, chock full of breast, whichever one you want to use. Like I said, a lot of my parents say boobs. I mean, the mouth should really, so it looks, I'll do it myself, right? If I have nose to the nipple, this is the breast. I'm gonna put my chin in, I'm gonna open wide. That's what we're going for, right? So it's really that mouth wide open. And the other big tip that I have for new parents is how you hold your baby does make a difference. A well-placed line of pressure with the palm of the hand in between the shoulder blades. If I just press, if it's hurting you a little bit, try pressing more firmly in there. You'll see that the head tips back and the baby's mouth relaxes a little bit, and that can make a huge difference for some new parents. So that's one thing. I can also wrap my arm around here just to relax myself, right? The positioning. But most of the time, people are starting a little bit too high, so lower the baby. If there's a painful latch, you actually want to take your pinky, stick it in the baby's mouth, break the seal. Like, don't just pull that baby off your nipple, because that will hurt. So break the seal, bring the baby off, and relatch your baby. We really want to teach the baby they can only come onto the breast with a wide open mouth. And that is going to cause a lot less pain in breastfeeding. And really what we see when we solve the pain in breastfeeding, the milk production goes up because now the baby is able to stimulate more of the milk-making cells deep in the breast with less pain, happens faster, and so that's better for everybody.